I want to talk about what Alaskans are talking about right now, trucks, because we drive a lot of trucks. And I was prompted on this by Senator Daines, who mentioned Montana's big, you got a lot of open spaces. Alaska's big, we got a lot of open spaces. We haul a lot of gear. We just haul a lot of things, whether it's the boats or the four-wheelers or the snow machines or the stuff that you just move around. We haul it in some worse conditions than Washington, D.C. is seeing here. We've actually got real snow accumulation. And so there's a lot of interest in terms of what is the industry, where are we going when it comes to these technologies. I noted in my opening statements that Ford is looking at an F-150 that can run on compressed natural gas and propane. Certainly that's interesting. But when we talk about what a difference we're making with lighter vehicles to gain fuel efficiencies, that's important, but you can't have it too light, or then you've got your truck sliding all over the place. You can't haul what you need to haul. Tell me where we are in meeting that consumer demand, because in certain parts of the country, and I would venture to say that there's probably a lot of people here on the eastern seaboard that are really interested in what's going on with how we're making our trucks more fuel efficient, but still safer and still very, very capable. And in addition to that, recognizing that in places like Alaska or Minnesota, you've got some very cold temperatures, so some of the things that we're talking about with our fuels, quite honestly, are not working as, oh, my gosh. I'm looking at you at the other end of the table here.
Go to Northern Maine, all you see are trucks.
My Arctic caucus co-chair here. But some of the issues that we face when we're dealing with colder temperatures and trying to meet the fuel standards and requirements, again, with trucks. Where are we with trucks? Somebody talk to me. You all need to talk to me about trucks, because that's what Alaskans are talking to me about when it comes to their vehicles.
I'll start by making, I guess, 2 points. The first is that at the end of the day, as I mentioned, this is a consumption mandate,
Right.
and we have to respect what consumers want to do. The CAFE program tries to do that by establishing a program that's footprint-based. So the footprint-based.
Oh, okay.
So the 54.5 is a composite that is kind of a weighted average of what cars get, what larger cars get, what trucks get, and so it's all blended, and so it does provide for some flexibility for trucks. Now, moving forward in the out years, the cliff or the rate of growth in terms of expectations on fuel efficiency for trucks is rising. And so it is a trick, but it's not the same number as the 54.5. And so our mission as automakers is both to strive to comply with the obligations of CAFE, but also to provide what consumers want. And I think at this point, that part is, in the early years, working.
Some others, where are we on the technologies and advancements? Go ahead, Ms. Cullen.
Senator, the choices in electrification are also making their way into those heavier segments of vehicles. If you get to the auto show, you will see hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and fuel cell SUVs and crossover vehicles. The automakers are meeting the demands of their consumers for drivetrain capability as well as their drive cycles. There's great advances being made in the next segment up, for instance, in medium duty. For instance, there are plug-in hybrid trouble trucks, so that when a utility goes out late at night, it can work on a site silently using its electric power to operate activate the bucket. They operate cleanly, quietly, and safely because the workers on the ground can hear what the arm is doing. And moving up through the weight scale, in the heavy-duty segment, there are fuel cell buses on the road today. They accommodate those heavier loads, and based on their range and performance, they're optimized for that application.
But we're still not seeing them in the trucks. You know, we're a 3-truck family, and we're still looking at the older trucks that are out there.
Well, and the story
Friedman?
on trucks in many ways is actually, right now, it's a story about innovations that are dramatically boosting the efficiency of internal combustion engines. I mean, you can buy a truck engine now that's a V6 instead of a V8 that gives you all the hauling power of that V8. It cuts weight. It delivers the same or better safety performance, and a lot of those technologies were supported by investments from the U.S. government. So I would argue there's been massive progress when it comes to pickup trucks and SUVs. It's just not as obvious in some ways because it's under the hood or it's in the materials. But when you look at the standards that Mitch was talking about, you can roughly think of it as no matter the size of your vehicle, you're going to roughly double the fuel efficiency of that vehicle. For a truck, that's even more valuable than for a car because you use so much more fuel. So you can save money on fuel, the same hauling power, the same or even better safety with technologies that Ford and GM and others have been, I think, helping lead the way on. Nissan right now is about to introduce a Cummins diesel into their Titan pickup truck. It's dramatically boosting fuel efficiency using a diesel engine. So real great progress on the internal combustion engine and weight reduction side for those big vehicles.
Dr. Gearhart, were you doing anything at NREL with trucks?
Yeah, so another thing I'd like to add to this is, at NREL, for example, we're looking at the various molecules that we can get out of biomass and the unique fuel properties that are associated with those different molecules that when combined in different ways and combined with what we can get from petroleum feedstock, that's going to enable, I think, the next generation of combustion improvements. And so we'll be able to continue to make improvements on the efficiency of internal combustion engines while increasing the renewable feedstock that's going into those liquid fuels. And I think those two together have the potential to give us fuel economy and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So I think there's a lot of room that hasn't been pursued there if we start to look not just at engine efficiency, but also at what we can do on the fuel side to use various biofeedstocks.